He was an unprepossessing electrician, but he was also the best warrior in China. He fought against more than 120 gang members with his own strength, killing 9 and seriously injuring 48. The police once believed that he was a professional killer. If he had not been caught and the truth was found out, no one would have believed that he was just an ordinary electrician. On November 18, 2010, more than 30 private cars and more than 120 people armed with machetes, iron rods and other weapons suddenly drove into the Shaosongdi coal mine in Luxi County, Yunnan Province, and headed towards the number 2 shaft in a menacing manner. When they reached the shed at the entrance of the number 2 mine shaft, there was a sudden loud noise, and the wreckage of the shed flew everywhere along with broken branches and walls. Smoke and dust rose up at the scene, followed by wailing and screaming. Dozens of people fell to the ground, and several were torn into pieces and killed on the spot. The injured were then quickly sent to the hospital for emergency treatment. Only scattered broken arms and legs were left at the scene, but 2 people died as soon as they were sent to the hospital due to their serious injuries. Another 3 people died due to serious injuries, and the remaining 48 seriously injured people were also dying. They failed to commit crimes and became victims instead. How can this be explained? The police found out during the on-site investigation that the murderer had set up 5 explosion points in the shed, and the direction of the wires could be determined. He was hiding in the vault near the shed, observing and monitoring the other party's unusual movements, waiting for the right time to detonate the explosives. All signs indicate that this was a premeditated crime. However, the autopsy results that followed made the police believe that the murderer was an extremely dangerous professional killer. The traces of heavy bullets were found in the shooting scenes, and all of them were killed with 1 shot, indicating that the murderer used the cover of the explosion to quickly fire 7 shots at the crowd. After analyzing the trajectory, technical experts determined that the shooting point was located in the vault. When investigating the small room in the vault, the police found that a brick was missing from the wall, and 8 shells were scattered at this location. It can be determined that this was the murderer's shooting point. After comparison, the traces of the bullet and shell were consistent. This result shocked the Ministry of Public Security, because this was a 5.8 mm rifle, and the murderer was able to use the moment of the explosion to fire 8 shots in a row and successfully hit 7 people's vital points. This kind of operation is either done by a special forces unit or a professional killer. The Ministry of Public Security immediately listed this case as a supervised case, and the Yunnan Public Security Department quickly set up a special task force to crack the case. After investigation, it happened that there was an eyewitness on the day of the incident who witnessed all this happening. This eyewitness was Lao Lu. On that day, he drove to transport goods. After arriving near the Shaosongdi coal mine, he saw more than 30 cars parked at the gate of the coal mine, and hundreds of armed personnel stood at the gate, led by the famous Zheng Chunyan. Lao Lu was so scared that he didn't dare to get out of the car. He stayed in the car and watched from a distance. But after a while, a violent explosion occurred. According to Lao Lu's description, this person named Zheng Chunyan must be related to this case. Just when the police were about to arrest him, Zheng Chunyan and Wang Jianfu surrendered one after another. After investigation, Zheng Chunyan had many industries in Luxi and was very strong. He had 7 coal mines, a coal washing plant, and many hotels, restaurants and entertainment cities. Zheng Chunyan and Wang Jianfu, the boss of Shaosongdi coal mine, have had a long-standing conflict. In 2005, Wang Jianfu contracted the mining rights of the number 1 well of Shaosongdi coal mine. During this period, the neighboring Yaojin coal mine island must be nationalized. At this time, Wang Jianfu secretly opened a coal mining well in Yaojin coal mine. 5 years later, Zheng Chunyan obtained the mining rights of Yaojin coal mine through some means. Wang Jianfu, who learned the news, quietly withdrew the equipment and blew up the coal mining well that crossed the border in order to avoid conflicts with Zheng Chunyan. In his opinion, as long as he blew up this coal mining well and restored the mining area to its original appearance, he, Zheng Chunyan, would not find his own troubles. After all, when he was mining coal, this mining area was still state-owned assets. To say that Tianye was fleecing socialism was just to fleece the wool. However, Wang Jianfu still underestimated Zheng Chunyan. When he learned that the coal mining well was blown up, Zheng Chunyan brought people to his door and asked Wang Jianfu to restore the destroyed coal mining well within 20 days. and to conduct an assessment and compensate for the coal taken in the past 5 years at the price. Wang Jianfu found it difficult to accept Zheng Chunyan's request. But facing the aggressive Zheng Chunyan, Wang Jianfu dared not breathe and could only meet Zheng Chunyan's request. Facts have proved that you must not mess with honest people. Although Wang Jianfu verbally agreed to Zheng Chunyan's request, he did not intend to suffer this loss in private. So in these 20 days, Wang Jianfu recruited soldiers and horses everywhere, purchased equipment, and bought some guns, bombs and other weapons through some channels, ready to fight Zheng Chunyan to the death. Although he had these weapons, Wang Jianfu was still a little uneasy when he thought of Zheng Chunyan's strength. At this time, Wang Yunfei, the electric bowman in the mine, found Wang Jianfu and said that he was sure to defend the mine by himself. He planned to set up explosives near the number 2 well and wait for the enemy to enter the ambush circle to detonate the explosives and kill the enemy. Although Wang Yunfei's plan shocked Wang Jianfu, for the sake of his own life, Wang Jianfu agreed to Wang Yunfei's plan and promised to give Wang Yunfei 2% of the mining rights first, and then give him 10% of the operating rights after the matter was completed. As the saying goes, there must be a brave man under a heavy reward. In order to better complete the boss's task, Wang Yunfei also paid out of his own pocket and bought a rifle for 3.600 yuan, and set up an observation and shooting point on the top of the palace to ensure that there was enough force to control the overall situation. In the end, this vicious incident with 9 deaths and 48 injuries occurred. At this point in the investigation, the context of the incident was basically fine, and all the causes pointed to Zheng Chunyan. So the police invested more than 300 police officers to buy Zheng Chunyan. After more than a month of investigation and evidence collection, more than 20 pieces of evidence of Zheng Chunyan's crimes were fixed. Since 2007, Zheng Chunyan has been sentenced to 2 years for opening a casino. Suspended for 4 years. During the suspension period, Zheng Chunyan organized his men to open casinos in many places in Yunnan, and accumulated huge amounts of funds. After he had money, he began to recruit and support a large number of idle people in society and released prisoners as his younger brothers since 2000. Since then, he has led his younger brothers to do all kinds of evil. And the organization has become larger and larger. He has made a great reputation in the local area. And even the imperial court's orders are shit in their eyes. The more arrogant Zheng Chunyan is, the worse his end will be. In the end, Zheng Chunyan, Wang Jianfu, and Wang Yunfei were all sentenced to death. Zheng Chunyan, Zheng Chunyan, Zheng Chunyan, Zheng Chunyan,